Gavin is passionate about soil quality and uses a rigorous testing method. In the footsteps of his forefathers, Gavin has a long-term vision for his farm, but is challenged by acidic, sandy, non-wetting soils.
Our property here is called Fairview, but we also have another property which is Ridley and Dinshira, so they're basically three properties which all interlink. We're actually located right in the middle of Meckering, Goomalling and Darren, so we're about 30 k's from each town. So we're basically on the edge of all the shires out on the sandplain. There's 2,805 hectares that we farm in total, and that's made up with broadacre arable area for cropping, 60 hectares of sandalwood, 250 hectares Pinus radiata, and then we've got some country that we can graze, and then a bit of natural bankshire forests on the farm. So we've always left them as conservation areas. It's mainly wheat and oats now, lupins and a bit of canola and the Cerredellas, and we run Dooney Merinos as well. So actually, when we started to change our farming style, we changed our breeds to match what we were doing. So for this particular farm, the Dooney does a lot better for us. I'm fourth generation, my kid's fifth generation, and we've basically been here the whole time. My grandfather and his brothers actually opened this country up out here. We're pretty much hardcore South Darren. It's a bit of a thing. We've always been light land farmers. We've always had the northern Darren farmers on the heavy country. So basically it's the non-wetting and wind erosion in the early years that we had to come across and solve problems with that. And we've got aluminium levels in our soils rising out here. We've got our groundwaters going down, so a lot of us are still running stock, so that's a bit of an issue. So really no different to where other people are, so we all have similar issues. It just depends how much emphasis you put on. At the end of the day, the seasons are fluctuating a lot with the rainfall, and we're not going to get any more rain, so how can we capture and hang on to that rainfall and use it to the best ability that we've got?
The Albrecht system is an exact science based on the lifetime research of Dr. William Albrecht. The system helps farmers develop a suitable environment for all types of living organisms necessary for optimum soil health.
Healthy soil is a soil that is balanced. So I use the Albrecht system with my soil testing, which everything is in ratios. So basically everything's got to add up to 100%. So you're looking at your calcium being 68% of your soil, and then from there everything's ratioed back, so it's all in balance. And for it to be in balance, it also has to have water holding capacity and have energy in the soil, so that would be what I'd call a good soil. Produced a lot of humate and stuff like that across our program. So the humate actually helps us to hang on to the water in our soil. So, and basically at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is lift organic matter, because it doesn't matter where you read, it's anywhere from 80,000 to 170,000 litres a hectare that you can hang on to for every % increase in organic matter. We've got country that's come from 1% up to 4.1 in a 10-year period, and now we're getting to the stage where we can hang on to water, we can hang on to nutrients. We're getting a better environment under the soil, so our cereals can go deeper, they can get down into that aluminium band. It's mainly liquid humate that I've gone to use. I use the humate to coat the fertiliser, to actually take the fertiliser burn away, so it's good enough to use a synthetic fertiliser in a biological system. The humates actually will hold up to 7 times their own weight in water, and it lifts the exchange capacity of my soil up to give it more energy to grow as well. It's also allowed us to get our crops, instead of going down and hitting the aluminium layer or the chemical hard pan and doing a J-root, so we're only farming in the first 3 or 4 inches of the soil. We're actually farming in 6 to 8 inches of soil.
Yellow Cerredella is capable of tolerating acid soils. Early maturing varieties can be grown in as little as 350 millimetres of annual rainfall. Cerredella can be retained as a perennial pasture for up to 5 years or harvested for seed.
Cerredella is something my grandfather started playing around with in the mid-80s. We used to always go to Esperance to get a heap of Cerredella down there, but there was no agronomic packages back then for it, so It never really took off the way it should, but we could see potential in it, and we can actually use it, and we get better results on different types of soil than what we would with lupins. You get your nitrogen fixation and also the deep rootedness of it. So yellow Ceradella can go down 2.5 metres, so we're getting right down into the soil depths, but it's also a mining plant, so it brings a lot of trace elements, calcium, potassium, back up to the soil, so we're remining a lot of nutrients that were put out in the earlier years, which makes it a lot easier cropping for us. We've gone into the newer hard-seeded varieties of yellow, and with the agronomic packages and being able to help to have a bit of input into that, and using weed wipers and all the rest of the stuff, and building our own processing gear, we've kind of expanded that out to be an integral part of our system. I quite often get a bit of a buzz when I see all those people going for grants and they're buying Sharano or Yulbini and thinking, yeah, that's all come from me. And being in the system myself, that's what I love about it. I don't like telling people about stuff unless I've done it myself. That's what gives you the buzz, when you know what can happen and how it will help people out along the way. This is Mace wheat, sown after a yellow Ceradella crop last year, which is Yulbini, which is one of the hard seed yellows. So this paddock actually runs in a wheat Ceradella rotation, and this is one of the paddocks we've come up from about 1% organic matter up to about 3 on. Behind that, if you look across, you can see the sandalwood, which we've got, and then in between that there's another paddock which is Ceradella this year, and then we've got the pine trees. So we've broken up all the areas out here with the different tree crops, because when I originally came home there was only about 4 or 5 trees out on this, so it was all open plain.
Gavin's property has light sandy soils prone to wind erosion. Agroforestry has been an important way of dealing with this issue.
We went into the pine in the early years with forest products. That was good until the change in government. But basically that was to get we were looking to get a bit of income off country that had no trees on it and break the wind erosion up. And then when the sandalwood came along, we sowed a bit of sandalwood. I was lucky enough to farm with both my grandparents and clear new country with one of my grandfathers at Eneabba. And when you look at history, basically from Kudu all the way through to Brookton was all sandalwood country. Like the Afghans used to camp in Meckering over there out on just south of Meckering, and they'd come out all through this way to get sandalwood. And when I first went into the sandalwood, people said, "Oh, you're crazy, it won't grow out there." Well, it's not out here because it all got taken out by the Afghans. So we've basically integrated it all into our farming system to block up the wind coming across the paddocks, and also we can graze the trees off during the winter for weed control with the sheep, and they're not out on paddocks that we're cropping.
Gavin has shared his knowledge through information days and personal visits to other farmers. He's shown by example that poorer soil types can be profitable through alternative farming methods.
We've had delegates from Portugal here. We had a North African delegation last year, which was a lot of farming government economists, scientists, engineers, all the heads of their departments, just looking at what we're doing. And that was really interesting for me, because when they asked me a few questions and I told them about what the winds can get up to and how hot things can get, they were amazed that we actually farm out here, because we're actually harsher than what some of the Sahara is. Yeah, there's just so many interesting people around the place, and yeah, it's just good being a part of it. So 50 years time, I'd like to see my property here. I'd actually like to see my family still involved in it, whether it be they are just the owners and someone else is farming it, or foreign investment may take over but they are still here managing it. I don't know, but I'd always like to see a link back to the land. And there used to be a saying, the first generation clears the land, second generation clears the debt, third generation clears out. Well, I'm 4th generation, so I'm replanting stuff and building it up, and I'm looking at the 5th generation to be the guardians.
Successful farming these days has to be environmentally sound in looking after the land in a sustainable manner. Gavin is showing the way and is indeed a Wheatbelt champion.